Nicholas stood outside the dungeon core main hall in a black tuxedo. If his protruding fangs and sharp sprite ears were not taken into consideration, according to human standards, he would be quite a handsome guy. Nicholas' behavior attracted the attention of the gamers as they followed behind him. Sherlock understood their behavior as they did not want to miss the plot animation. He had previously been surrounded by them in a similar manner. However, Nicholas was puzzled when he saw the goblins gathering and following him. Though they were goblins, he felt pressured by their incessant talking. "Lassie, where are you going? Who triggered the plot animation? I don't know. Perhaps there are new activities. Just follow Lassie. Take a look at my newly exchanged small cloth bag. We shall form a new expedition later and continue fighting the spiders. Let's form up first. Once the plot animation is over, we'll set out." I saw Arthur swinging his weapon as he went out. Is he challenging the spiders alone? Even if he has the most combat training sessions, isn't it too far-fetched for him to go alone? *MN, I should have stockpiled the materials. The prices have increased today. Those who rushed to improve their equipment are now dying of regret. Nicholas was unable to understand the goblins. Tens of them followed behind him and chatted non-stop. Why were these goblins so fond of chatting? Nicholas felt his ears almost bursting. Nicholas had seen numerous goblins, but not the talkative ones. When a few normal goblins were put together, they would not even make a sound. Nicholas could not understand why these goblins had that much to say. Nicholas arrived at the dungeon core entrance with his ears filled with buzzing chatter. It did not last long as Sherlock walked out. When the Devil Lord appeared, the chatter gradually stopped and there were sounds. Some whispered to remind the chattering goblins, "Stop talking. The plot animation is starting." Putting the goblins' matters aside, Nicholas was looking for Sherlock about another matter. "Lord Sherlock, pardon my sudden visit." He bowed towards Sherlock and said, "Since arriving at your dungeon, I have been grateful for your great hospitality. To express my gratitude, please allow me to present you a gift." Sherlock looked at Nicholas and frowned. Was the great hospitality referring to the empty space without stone slabs and proper beds? Was his gratitude sarcastic? Sherlock was unhappy. A lowly vampire was giving sarcastic hints to the Devil Lord. Nicholas was not making sarcastic comments. He was making use of the opportunity to foster their long-term business relationship. However, the goblin's abnormal behavior had shocked Nicholas to the core. Nicholas had never encountered goblins who would chat casually in front of a superior vampire. Even after Nicholas exerted his dominance, there was no reaction from the goblins. Nicholas was feeling mentally exhausted by the goblins' chattering and harassment. Nicholas also realized that these goblins were terrifying. These goblins were not afraid of a vampire. Just based on the power of the goblin? Of course not. They must be dependent on Lord Sherlock's power. Nicholas had visited many dungeons. This was his first encounter with the strange goblins. Nicholas was sure that Lord Sherlock's background was not simple. As a merchant, he felt he had to make a risky investment in Lord Sherlock and his future. When he saw Sherlock's unhappiness, Nicholas immediately said, "Lord Sherlock, I am impressed by the brave and resilient servants of the dungeon. If you would allow, I hope to invest in your dungeon. It will be in the form of a gift." Sherlock finally understood. The vampire was going to invest in his dungeon. Was he really impressed by the brave and resilient servants? Sherlock surveyed his wretched dungeon and the group of smiley goblins behind Nicholas who were commenting on the praise. Sherlock led Nicholas into the dungeon core main hall. "Come in, let's discuss your investment." Sherlock closed the door after Nicholas entered the main hall. The gamers were puzzled and broke into chatter. The gamers did not have to listen to guess what discussion Sherlock and Nicholas were having. Sherlock beckoned Nicholas to take a seat and then tapped on the table. Brew was talking excitedly in Sherlock's mind on how to scam the Baron. Sherlock did not respond to Brew. Instead, he frowned and said to Nicholas, "I'm not lacking in magic stones, and I have a good impression of you. I would like to hear about your investment plan." Nicholas said excitedly, "Lord Sherlock, I'm willing to vouch for you and recommend to the Merchant Alliance to place Eternal Kingdom as one of the Alliance trading posts. We'll set up a teleport portal at your dungeon and arrange for a resident merchant. No matter what materials or buildings you require, the Merchant Alliance will provide the best resources and services for your dungeon's development. The resources will be escorted and discounted 20% off the market price. This is my gift to you." Sherlock hesitated as the offer was tempting. There was a free resident merchant, teleport portal and a 20% discount of the goods. Sherlock could apply for the Merchant Alliance to station a merchant at his dungeon himself, but the application fees, deposit fees, commission fees and teleport portal would cost a ton. With Nicholas' recommendation, Sherlock would save a large sum of money. However, there were many problems with this recommendation. The merchants would arrive and interact with the gamers for long periods of time. With the differences in culture, there would be serious consequences. Sherlock felt that it was going to be troublesome. The reason he allowed the merchant band to visit the dungeon was to let them be part of the beta testing activity and entertain the gamers so that they would be hardworking. Secondly, the merchant band was only staying for 3 days. Within this short period of time, Sherlock was not worried that they would discover anything. Moreover, he had an agreement with Nicholas. The most important factor was that Sherlock did not trust Nicholas. As a dungeon lord, he had only met the Baron for a day. Why would he agree to his investment? Was he foolish or naive? Sherlock was clear about Nicholas' intentions. First, Nicholas clearly wanted to test Sherlock. Secondly, Nicholas was interested in the investment. Sherlock was lacking in magic stones, but he had not reached the stage that he would invite characters he did not trust to his dungeon. "Apologies, Baron Nicholas, you have a tempting proposal, but I must decline." Sherlock pushed out his hand and said, "The merchants applying to visit my dungeon have already been scheduled to next year, and I have some other intentions regarding trading and commerce in the dungeon." But Lord Sherlock, Nicholas had not expected Sherlock to decline him directly. Most of the developing dungeons would jump at his offer as it was a win-win situation. When the dungeon obtained abundant resources, Nicholas could earn profits and improve his standing in the Merchant Alliance. He could also foster a good relationship with the dungeon lord. Otherwise, how could a Baron vampire have tea and beat up other creatures with the dungeon lords? Don't say any more. My planned commerce blueprint is massive and cannot be accomplished by a teleport portal and a resident merchant. If you don't do other matters, please leave. My servants are very happy that you are here. I hope that you will also be happy with your stay and make my servants happy so that they would work harder," Sherlock said as he stood up and patted Nicholas' shoulders. "Nicholas, don't be mistaken. I'm not rejecting your cooperation. It's not personal. Neither am I looking down on you. As you know, keeping a dungeon is not easy. I have to take care of all areas. Numerous creatures are watching me. If I fail or have big news, they will publish everything. I tried to hide your visit to the dungeon, but they found out. I had to put in a lot of effort to placate them. Otherwise, we would not be able to do business. If I agree to let you set up a teleport portal, how do I answer to those creatures? How many notices will I have to post to placate them? Sherlock explained as he sent Nicholas out. While the gamers chatted non-stop, Sherlock added, I have high expectations of you. Though we cannot collaborate now, I believe in your talents and experience. We will definitely have a chance to work together. I believe in you, Nicholas. Sherlock closed the door of the main hall. Nicholas was feeling puzzled. He remained silent under the harsh gazes of the goblins before he muttered, Why yes, boss. 3 days passed by very quickly. As Sherlock had an agreement with Nicholas, the merchant band was not allowed to wander, interact with the goblins or ask questions. The merchant band loaded up more than 5,000 magic stones worth of adamant on 3 carts, while Nicholas was burdened with lots of unanswered questions. Sherlock gave him a warm farewell. Baron Nicholas, you will always be welcome at Eternal Kingdom. As long as you abide by our trading agreement, you will always be our guests. Sherlock accompanied them toward the exit to Winterfell. The gathered gamers also gave their warm farewell. I hope that there will be more goods in the next round. The small cloth bags sold out in 1 day, and there were not enough short bows. I only got a short sword, eh? Those stitches are so grotesque. 3 days is too short, 10 days is more reasonable. Will this be a repeating event? Maybe once a month. The gamers were chatting excitedly. Nicholas was now more or less used to their insane behavior. To Nicholas, the gamers were a bunch of nonsense-spouting creatures who slept readily on the ground. They were not fearful of superior creatures and were addicted to worthless metal coins. They were indeed insane. This could be a special trait of such a superior devil, the power to summon a group of insane goblins to develop his dungeon. I'm grateful to you for your hospitality. If you have time, do visit my Winterfell manor when I am on break from my business trips, Nicholas said earnestly. I'll pay you a visit when I have time. Sherlock smiled. Nicholas took out a basic materials list, a card and a teleport scroll and handed them over to Sherlock. I'll have to count on Lord Sherlock to deliver the basic materials to Winterfell. I just contacted my butler. He will be waiting at the teleport portal reception hall with his men. Just hand over the basic materials to him and he will complete the transportation. Sherlock was taken aback. He was puzzled by the 15 magic stones he had been given to arrange for his goblins to help transport with the basic materials. Sherlock had been thinking of how to transport the materials. Though there were a lot of materials, with the help of 50 gamers, his Devil Lord's dominance, and the promise of rich rewards, he thought there would be no problem for the gamers to transport the basic materials. Sherlock would have to work harder, like a teacher bringing the students out on a field trip. He recalled the fond memories in his school. The card. Sherlock looked at the card in his hand. On the card were the words gift card. Nicholas smiled cordially and said, the card is a small token of appreciation for Lord Sherlock's hospitality. It is a 1,000 magic stones gift card that can be used in any merchant alliance shop. It can be exchanged for 800 magic stones in other places. Sherlock understood Nicholas' intentions, but he felt embarrassed. This might not be appropriate. If I keep it and others learn of it, I'll have lots of explanations to do. Though he said that, his hand slipped the card into his pocket. I can understand Lord Sherlock's concern. 1,000 magic stones isn't a lot. An afternoon tea can cost a few hundred magic stones. This is merely a small gift to friends. It's not much. I'm honored to be friends with Lord Sherlock. Hearing Nicholas' sincere words, Sherlock pocketed the 1,000 magic stones pretentiously. Nicholas left. The farewell shouts of the gamers rang behind him. Lassie, come back again. The 3-day beta testing activity was completed. The gamers had obtained items that were not available in Eternal Kingdom. Sherlock received 5,000 magic stones and the 1,000 magic stones gift card. He was well off again. Sherlock's workload had been reduced significantly. Originally, he had intended to bring the goblins like students on a field trip and have them carry the materials like hard laborers. Nicholas had solved the transportation problem by paying for the teleport portal. After dispersing the gathered gamers who were keen for more cutscenes, Sherlock had broadcast a maintenance announcement to shut down the revival system for 1 to 3 hours. He was going to help Nicholas transport the large quantities of materials to Winterfell and hand them over to Nicholas's butler. Next, he was going to Winterfell to buy the rest chambers beds and the short bows arrows. The gamers had bartered with Nicholas for the short bows, but there had only been 30 complimentary arrows. There had also been no quivers, but fortunately, those who had managed to get the short bow were also able to get the small cloth bag. Sherlock had seen gamers complaining in the discussion forum about insufficient arrows. As a dungeon lord, he had to remedy and improve the situation. After the merchant band had left, the space intended for the gamers' rest chambers could be excavated again. It was about 80% complete and would take another 3 days to entirely complete. With them, the gamers would be able to return to their rest chambers to go offline instead of lying down on the ground. Sherlock had to do some planning to figure out how to encourage the gamers to go offline in the rest chambers. 20 days had elapsed since the beta testing started. If Sherlock did not know how to direct the gamers, then he would be a lousy dungeon lord. With Bruce's suggestion, it was not a huge problem. In Bruce's words, if we include a housing system, the gamers' happiness will skyrocket. They will be extremely excited about land and property. Even selling them a bed will have the same effect. Bruce also made a maintenance announcement. The revival system will be having a 1 to 3 hour maintenance, starting in half an hour. Lord Sherlock will leave the dungeon. Please take care of yourself and avoid risks. Risk it. Why the maintenance? This is hilarious. Those gamers hunting for materials at the spider's lair entrance will explode with anger. What the heck? Why isn't there advance notice for maintenance? I've already formed an expedition to the spider's lair. What lousy planning. What lousy company. Isn't that awful? MN, the forum will explode with posts tonight. There's got to be better planning. Gamers will receive 200 reputation points and 100 bronze coins as compensation. Work, continue working. Hurry and carry the bricks. Who's selling spider silk? I need a bit more material to improve my equipment. Who has a short bow? What's the effect? Can I try it? Quick, Morrow's is starting the session. It's all right. I didn't say anything. Sherlock was relieved when he saw the gameers full of enthusiasm and without any complaints. Holding the teleport scroll, Sherlock went to the material storage location. He had restricted the area so that the gamers would not steal the materials. Sherlock opened the teleport scroll and was bathed in magical light. He used his mana to expand the radius to cover the piles of materials. Then, Sherlock vanished with the materials. In the next instant, Sherlock arrived at the Winterfell teleport portal reception hall with the materials. Sherlock used a large amount of mana for the teleport scroll and had arrived at the cargo teleport portal reception hall. Compared to the previous reception hall, the cargo hall was more rundown and more spacious. The size of the portal was larger and spaced further apart. The number of portals was significantly less. This was the Winterfell cargo terminal. A gnome with glasses stood by the portal. He held a book as he looked at the magical scale that indicated the weight of the materials brought by Sherlock. The gnome gave a list and a form to Sherlock. According to the cargo weight, we're collecting 10 magic stones for the processing fee. Here's your invoice. Surprised, Sherlock looked at the invoice. It was his first time delivering goods to Winterfell and his first time encountering the processing fee. Please wait a while. Are you Lord Sherlock? As Sherlock was hesitating whether to pay or to keep the goods as his own, a jelly-like thing walked over. It was a sludge monster in wet tuxedo. The sludge monster had a green body with translucent skin that showed the liquid and sticky mass inside. He was an underworld sludge monster, also known as a slime. The two names were used differently. Sludge monster was the ugly and realistic version, while slime was the cuter and more appealing one. The one in front of Sherlock wearing a wet tuxedo could only be called a sludge monster. Excuse me, are you Lord Sherlock, Dungeon Lord of Eternal Kingdom? The sludge monster asked. There were no noticeable eyes on the sludge monster, but it had a mouth-like opening. Are you Baron Nicholas Butler? I'm handing the goods to you. Sherlock pointed to the pile of spider leg, spider silk, and other raw materials behind him. He handed the invoice to the sludge monster. A tentacle-like hand appeared from the sludge monster and stuck itself carefully on the invoice without wetting Sherlock's hand. The sludge monster said, Lord Sherlock, thank you for making this trip. Baron Nicholas is grateful to you and would like to offer you a lifetime 20% discount at his shop. What is your Baron's shop selling? Female accessories. Sherlock bade farewell to the hospitable butler and left the cargo terminal. He intended to buy some items. The beds had to be purchased at the carpenter shop. Sherlock had 5,000 magic stones and a gift card with 1,000 magic stones. He was quite well off now, so he could actually afford to take a look in almost all the shops. Sherlock chose a carpenter shop called Only Have More Expensive Stuff and walked in. The carpenter shop was filled with a weird rotting smell, and the walls were hanging with twisted logs that were dripping black goo. There was an unstrung wooden bow on the table. Within the shop, a stone golem was sitting on a chair doing the accounting. When someone entered the shop, the stone golem stood up and went forward. Welcome, welcome. What would you like to buy? Our new product Solidar, Star Fury, is a high-quality imitation that is almost like the original. Sherlock found the words familiar, but he had not entered the shop before. He said to the shopkeeper, I'm not looking for bows and arrows. I'm ordering 100 beds. The shopkeeper made a quick calculation and said, 1,000 magic stones and free delivery. Sherlock felt that the price was acceptable. He was about to pay with his gift card when the stone golem said, You look like a reputable devil lord. Are you buying new beds for your dungeon? A lot of dungeons are developing, and the demand for beds has spiked. It's normal for the price to increase. No worries, I suggest that you buy less beds. We have a discount package suitable for your noble dungeon lord status. Please take a look. Is it a 100 years anniversary sale, only 800 magic stones for a new carpenter shop, promotion? Does it come with 10 beds, and a carpenter at 100 magic stones per month? Does the carpenter know how to cook? Sherlock asked as the stone golem took out a promotional flyer that said, 100 years anniversary sale. The stone golem was stunned. How did you know? Sherlock pondered. Rather than buying 100 beds, it was better to buy a carpenter shop with a 200 magic stones discount. However, the Eternal Kingdom did not have any wood resources. Even soil was scarce as the surroundings were made of diamond seam. After mining the hard, smelly and worthless diamond seam, a few pickaxes had been damaged. Sherlock was not sure if he could discover forest resources within a year of mining. Eternal Kingdom was a desolate dungeon with limited resources. Besides diamond seam, there was only diamond seam. The dungeon was close to the surface, so it was dangerous. The dungeon core had also been abandoned for many years, so Sherlock had been able to buy it at a low price. Finishing the flower bed and food storage and almost completing the gamer's rest chambers within 20 days was beyond Sherlock's expectations. Before buying the dungeon, Sherlock had various 100-year plans. What should I do? What should I choose? I'll order 100 beds and a carpenter shop package. I'll recruit a gourmet carpenter with excellent culinary skills. Previously, Sherlock had not had the luxury of choice due to poverty, but now all the options were available. The shopkeeper was shocked by Sherlock's decision. He had not expected the young dungeon lord to be that mature. He patted his chest and said, Dungeon lord, don't worry. I'll recruit the carpenter with the best culinary skill. Sherlock was pleased and ordered 100 magic stones worth of arrows. He left his address so that the shopkeeper could arrange for the delivery of his purchases. The shopkeeper would be paying for the transportation fees. Once the arrangements were finalized, the shopkeeper contacted his workers to prepare the goods. Sherlock wanted to recruit a carpenter because he wanted the carpenter to replace Simba as the chef. Simba had to produce and improve equipment and prepare meals. It was a stressful job. With the harassment by the gamers, the number of Simba's counseling sessions with Sherlock had been increasing steadily. The gamers believed that Simba had a hidden mission and they wanted to obtain the best sword from him. Simba was not one of the Underworld's gamers. If the stress was too much and he was unhappy, he could leave. Sherlock had built close ties with Simba, and Simba had more or less gotten used to the gamers. If he left, the new blacksmith perhaps would not be able to endure the gamers' harassment. Sherlock wanted to see if there were other things to purchase. Before he proceeded, he heard Bruce's helpless voice. Dungeon Lord, I think you should return to the dungeon. The gamers have met with trouble. Sherlock had left the dungeon with huge amounts of materials. The gamers were puzzled. Why had Nicholas not left with the materials? Nicholas had handed a few items to Sherlock. What were those items? Where had Sherlock gone with the materials? The questions made the gamers troubled, and they discussed them in the game and on the official forum. They concluded that was a hidden plot. It had already been verified that dungeon, Eternal Kingdom, had hidden plots. When the first expedition group had killed a spider, they had unlocked a hidden plot. Arthur and Not Wearingpants had gone to Winterfell with Sherlock. Not Wearingpants had posted on the discussion forum with pictures as proof. Had someone unlocked a hidden plot? It was highly probable. Perhaps the maintenance of the revival system was due to a hidden plot in which Sherlock brought gamers to complete the plot. Who had unlocked the hidden plot? As the gamers were puzzling over this, someone ran back and shouted, "There's a boss in the spider's lair." Everyone ran over except for the small number of timid gamers and those who wanted to protect their own property. The gamers ran to the spider's lair, where the gamers had previously fought the monsters for materials. The location was occupied by weird-looking monsters. Since the revival system was under maintenance, there were only two gamers fighting monsters. They were Arthur and Burning Kistair, who were both hanging on a beam. The group of monsters had large heads that looked like hellhounds. They had scaly skin that was a deep crimson color. The monsters were stronger than the gamers. There was a prominent brute in the midst of the monsters. He was twice the size of other monsters and was wielding a large exaggerated hammer. His mouth showed a pair of long fangs, and he had a set of large shiny blue armor. Are those Houndhead men? Not Wearingpants identified the monsters. The Houndhead men discovered the goblins and gathered around their leader in panic. The leader lifted his hammer and shouted strange commands. Then, those Houndhead men charged towards the gamers. The dungeon was filled with casualties. The gamers had just experienced a horrible battle. The gamers had been at the spider's lair entrance looking at the Houndhead men when they charged at the gamers. The gamers had been no match for the Houndhead men and fled. One gamer was hugging his severed leg. Another had his arm twisted as though his shoulder was hit by a blunt object. One more gamer lay motionless on the ground. His chest was caved in, and he coughed blood incessantly. Other injured comrades were dragging a few dead gamers by their feet. The horrendous battle scene was filled with a thick stench of blood, but the gamers were still light-hearted. Who aggroed the boss, or was a boss generated by the system? Seems like Arthur aggroed the boss. I saw him fighting the spiders alone, and then the Houndhead men came out from the lair. I didn't expect their aggro radius to be that large. We were that far and yet they still charged at us. It's hilarious. It's not about the aggro radius. We can't get rid of their aggro. They are still lurking at the dungeon entrance. The boss of the Houndhead men signaled that he would hammer all the goblins. Our tactics were wrong and too chaotic. Instead of tackling the Houndhead men, we attacked the boss and got killed by his minions. I'm thinking of improving all my equipment, but they are at risk of being destroyed. I didn't attack the boss. I was fighting the minions and calling for help, but nobody came. I helped you with my short bow and used up all my arrows. D*MN your arrows. You killed a lot of our comrades. Can't you brush up on your archery? Gamers with short bows will be blacklisted. They have killed too many of our comrades. 7 hours expedition group, anyone interested? Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. I can't take it. I'm going to die. I am mortally wounded, yet you made me laugh and vomit blood. Ha 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 ha. It. I'm dead. The gamer twisted his head and lay in his pool of blood as he perished. Moro stood at the training grounds and observed the bloody scene in shock. He was a legendary gladiator who had assisted other dungeon lords, fought with huge dragons, sirens and grand priests, and witnessed the Not Wearingpants nonchalantly dying. But he had not seen such a bloody scene with tens of casualties where goblins could still be jovial. Simba knew that the goblins could be revived by Lord Sherlock, and he could accept that Not Wearingpants was not afraid of pain and death. However, he witnessed the dying goblins chatting casually and the goblin who laughed to death. He thought it was no longer about courage. Moro's passion as a gladiator was reignited. He wished that one day he would be like the fearless goblins. The dungeon core main hall was filled with mana ripples, and the tall Lord Sherlock walked out from the main hall. Sherlock returned immediately after he heard the news from Brew and obtained the details on his way back. He had also been quickly discussing possible solutions with Brew. First, he had to chase away those Houndhead men from the dungeon entrance. How could he do that? By standing there. The Houndhead men fled when Sherlock appeared. Inferior creatures like the Houndhead men had an instinctive fear of the superior devils. Sherlock did not have to exert his dominance since they had fled themselves. When the gamers saw that the Houndhead men had retreated, they became anxious. Oh, the boss escaped. Has the aggro been dropped? D*MN, I was hoping to revive and challenge them if they were still loitering at the dungeon entrance. Now that they've retreated, it'll be hard to find them. Gosh, I had the same thoughts. Why didn't you say so before? You didn't say either. Sherlock ignored their chatter while he healed and revived the goblins. He let the goblins retrieve the corpses outside. Those goblins with missing corpses would recreate their new characters before returning. They would retain the skills that were etched in their souls. As long as they could use their bodies, there would be no problems. Sherlock made use of his time to heal and revive the dead goblins. After treating the goblins, he closed the tunnel leading to the spider's lair and had Brew announce another main plot. Dungeon invaders. Protect Eternal Kingdom dungeon. Mission summary, the evil Houndhead men tribe have appeared in the vicinity of Eternal Kingdom. They invaded Eternal Kingdom while Lord Sherlock was away for a short period of time. Though they retreated, it is possible they will invade again. Appealing to all brave citizens of Eternal Kingdom to protect our dungeon. Mission completion requirement. During a mission, all entrances and exits of the Eternal Kingdom will be closed. All gamers are to patrol the dungeon, starting in 1 hour. During the mission, goblins may accept construction missions and continue training skills. Mission reward. All gamers who accept the mission and remain online in the vicinity of Eternal Kingdom will receive 10 reputation points per minute. The gamers resumed carrying bricks, chatting and training. Nobody was surprised that the dungeon was sealed off. After Sherlock calmed the gamers down, he left the dungeon by himself. Using mana to hide his presence, he advanced towards the direction that the Houndhead men had retreated. Before long, he discovered the Houndhead men at the spider's lair entrance. The regular Houndhead men surrounded a large Houndhead man with shiny armor and a huge hammer. That strong Houndhead man was their leader. They were from the spider's lair. Some Houndhead men tribes used the spider's lair as their base and coexisted with the spiders while protecting each other. Sherlock analyzed why the Houndhead men would station themselves at the spider's lair entrance. It was probably because the gamers had killed too many spiders or some other similar reason. He had to handle these invaders and prevent them from killing his servants. As Sherlock was about to eliminate the Houndhead men, Bruce said in his mind, Lord Sherlock, I have a suggestion. Treat the Houndhead man as a boss. The gamers have been fighting with the spiders for a few days. The powerful hound head boss could be good entertainment and a challenge for the goblins. Isn't that great? Bruce suggested. We can announce it as the main plot, which will give gamers a sense of purpose, like saving the world. Wait, isn't their sense of purpose already decided? It's to help me construct the greatest dungeon and serve the most powerful devil king for the rest of their lives. As a devil lord's servant, what has saving the world got to do with that? Sherlock frowned as he asked. You are right, but we have to be tactful. As life is hard, we have to give them hope and make them feel they are different. They need to feel like they are the chosen ones and that they came to this world for a purpose. As for the sense of purpose, we need to make it sound positive. You can add that on to the recruitment agreement, Bruce said as he conjured up the previously signed agreement in Sherlock's mind. Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom, Virtual Online Game Distribution Rights Agreement, 2019 Online Game Endorsement Certificate, and Game Disclaimers appeared in Sherlock's mind. Bruce highlighted the portions that needed to be more positive and progressive so that Sherlock could find them easily. Bruce said in a compassionate tone, besides these terms, the hope is that these gamers will be loyal to you forever. By introducing a main plot, it will more closely match the other world's culture with a clear goal and a sense of achievement. Perhaps saving the world is too epic, but we can start with saving the dungeon. They will work harder this way. Believe me, Lord Sherlock. Sherlock felt that Brew made sense. If the gamer had left the dungeons, he would have to depend on his 100-year dungeon development plans. If he made the Houndhead man the boss and introduced a main plot, the gamers would enjoy the game and work harder. Sherlock had no issues as he had lots to gain from it. The more times they died, the harder they would work. The time they spent online would also be longer. Sherlock was pleased with it. To introduce the main plot, he had to think of a feasible storyline. Fortunately, Brew made use of the other world's culture to complete the storyline and saved Sherlock a lot of effort. But then, Sherlock realized there was another problem. Brew, what name should I give to the Houndhead man boss? The Houndhead men had appeared at the spider's lair entrance, attacked the gamers and blockaded the dungeon entrance. This shocking event caused a chain reaction in the discussion forum. There was lots of speculation regarding the monster's invasion. In Not Hearing Prince's speculation about Monster's Invasion mission, he narrated the happenings and posted the details in Monster's Invasion, Protect the Eternal Kingdom dungeon. The gamers discussed this excitedly in the forum. Rhyme, the game's bug must be the cold monkey's fault. The game was not tested properly before being released. Let's kill the cold monkey to appease the gods. Less than. Cold monkey, yes, degrees. Carefree flight, how can that be? The game has given out missions on the Monster's Invasion for full-time gamers. There must be a follow-up mission. This is most likely due to a hidden mission being unlocked. Alternatively, maybe the game planned the Monster's Invasion today. Peak of Aboriginal God, there's this possibility. I feel like it's a bug since the gamers were unable to fend off the creatures. It's not logical, and there was no warning of the invasion. There are notices in other games. Poor Otaku, Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom is not like other games. This is the first virtual reality online game using the game capsule. It mimics reality. Even the sensation of pain is simulated like reality. The gamers did not turn it on to torture themselves. The sudden invasion was in line with reality. Adorable eating stuff, it's no use discussing our heads off. Can we play? Oh, #. Sherlock returned to the dungeon after checking out the Houndhead men. He browsed the official forum and almost got addicted. Then, he stopped browsing and started editing his post. The Eternal Kingdom is a newly developed dungeon. Under the evil, cruel, unscrupulous, greedy and violent leadership of Lord Sherlock, the dungeon has thus far developed very quickly. However, the beautiful dungeon is now under a serious threat. The hidden underground Houndhead men have attacked Eternal Kingdom without warning. Citizens of the Eternal Kingdom, take up your weapons. For the future and freedom of Eternal Kingdom, we shall fight. For the evil, cruel, unscrupulous, greedy and violent Lord Sherlock. Lord Sherlock, may I share my opinion? When Sherlock finished editing the content, Brew hesitated before saying, could we shorten the adjectives? Maybe we can change evil, cruel, unscrupulous, greedy and violent to brilliant and brave Lord Sherlock. Sherlock muttered, am I boasting too much? No. How could you be boasting? They are the truth, but considering the other world's culture, they might not be used to so many adjectives. Brilliant and brave are most appropriate words to describe you. Sherlock removed some words and continued editing. Sherlock completed the main plot storyline with the assistance of Brew. After checking, he published it on the official website and discussion forum. In the dark unknown underworld, Eternal Kingdom is a newly developed dungeon. Under the brilliant and brave leadership of Sherlock, the dungeon has developed rapidly. However, the dungeon has encountered a serious threat. The Houndhead men tribe, which was hidden deep within the spider's lair, attacked Eternal Kingdom without warning. The Eternal Kingdom is under serious threat. There is no time to find out the cause. Citizens of the Eternal Kingdom, take up your weapons. For the future and freedom of Eternal Kingdom, we shall fight. For the brilliant and brave Lord Sherlock. Mission title, Chapter 1, Eternal Kingdom Dungeon, Leader of Houndhead Men, Grammar. Mission objective, take up your weapons. For Lord Sherlock and Eternal Kingdom, destroy the Houndhead men tribe and obtain the skull of their leader, Grammar. Reward, gamers who are involved in the battles will be given one of the 3 levels of reward based on battle performance. Bronze reward, gamers with ordinary contribution will receive 100 bronze coins and 100 reputation points. Silver reward, gamers with excellent contribution will receive 300 bronze coins and 300 reputation points. Gold reward, gamers with extraordinary contribution will receive a silver coin and 1,000 reputation points. Limited to 10 goblins. Mission hint, Grammar is the notorious leader of the Houndhead men and a demon in the memories of the Underworld citizens. He is very strong and has the protection of the Houndhead men tribe. Please be fully prepared before forming an expedition group. Grammar fears Lord Sherlock's power, so he will not be close to Eternal Kingdom. Gamers can enter the safe area via the Eternal Kingdom. Grammar will attack goblins on sight. Monster bestiary. Monster name, Houndhead man. Picture. Monster description, a commonly seen underworld creature with low intelligence and light phobia. They attack without provocation and often stay in the spider's lair. Level 0-5. Possible loot, damaged equipment. Note, most of the loot can be exchanged for coins at the dungeon core main hall. Monster name, Grammar, boss. Picture. Monster description. The notorious leader of the Houndhead Men, Grammar, is the nightmare of the Underworld citizens. Level. Boss. Possible loot. Equipment that requires appraisal. Note. Grammar's loot requires appraisal that costs certain coins. You must have the required reputation to wield them. After checking, Sherlock published the notice. Brew announced the reward for the Houndhead Men leader, Grammar, via the system notice to all gamers. The monster bestiary was only available on the official forum and website. The gamers received Brew's mission when they were discussing where the Houndhead Men came from and whether there would be hidden missions. It's finally out. This mission description is this, a chain mission. Finally, is this a main plot mission? It's the first chapter. It must be the main plot mission. The first main plot mission is difficult. Isn't the first chapter main plot mission usually just a basic mission? This game has been hardcore for more than 2 days, and you are only complaining now that it's hard. What do we do? Should we form expedition groups? We were just annihilated, and our equipment is incomplete. Let's carry bricks and prepare our equipment. I want to go. Bring me along. Make haste. Shall we discuss how to fight? The gamers discussed excitedly every day. The beta gamers had the advantage, and Nokia Rinkpants became the forum leader. After some heated discussion, everyone came to a conclusion: find out more about the enemy. Defeating the Houndhead Men was a difficult challenge. The leader, Grammar, wielded a large hammer. Even when the goblins were using shields, they were unable to withstand the blow from the hammer. The shield perhaps would not be damaged, but their arms would be shattered. With a second blow, the goblins would either be killed or maimed. Though the Houndhead Men were strong, they were not invincible. As long as the gamers continued to observe, they were confident they could come up with the appropriate tactics. When they had encountered the spiders, hadn't the spiders also felt invincible? Hadn't they triumphed over the spiders in the end? How could the game make the mission impossible to complete? Unless it was a system bug that made gamers unable to complete the mission. The gamers used their own ways to find out more about the enemy. Sherlock thought that after the mission announcement, the gamers would scream, "Wah!" and charge towards the Houndhead Men. After being annihilated, they would carry bricks, train their skills, and purchase equipment before shouting, "Wah!" and dying under the Houndhead Men's clubs again. After 10 to 20 cycles, the dungeon would expand to twice its size, and the gamers would have defeated the Houndhead Men and received generous rewards. Perhaps the Houndhead Men would be frightened by the fearless goblins and retreat deep into the spider's lair. Sherlock already made plans to capture the Houndhead Men by using mana if they escaped. Then the gamers could continue to challenge the Houndhead Men until they completed their main plot mission. He didn't expect that the main plot mission would bring him lots of trouble. It went like this. Simba, could you tell me about the Houndhead Men? It's the notorious leader of the Houndhead Men, Grammar. As a highly skilled blacksmith, do you have rich adventuring experience from when you were young? Burning Kister asked Simba casually as he handed his hiltless short sword to Simba to get it improved to level 4. He was being hunted by the Houndhead Men because of his Winterfell short sword, which he dropped at the spider's lair entrance. The short sword was now the prize of the Houndhead Man, who would be showing it off. Pa. Simba broke the level 3 hiltless short sword viciously and threw the broken short sword into a furnace by the side before he said coldly, "Your sword's broken." No. As Burning Kister howled in despair, Simba put away his hammer, extinguished the flame in the furnace, and closed down the blacksmith shop. Under the gazes of the other gamers, he walked towards the dungeon core main hall. Sherlock was planning the future development of the dungeon when he saw Simba walk in. Sherlock sat down, supported his chin with his hand, and asked, "Simba, were you harassed by the goblins again?" "I told you to ignore them. Soon, they won't bother you." "Lord Sherlock, while I was forging, I casually mentioned the Houndhead Men are low-intellect creatures. Within an hour, the goblins who said show strange green words gathered and asked me twice. Every time, they would ask the same question about the Houndhead Men's leader, Grammar. The notorious leader who instilled fear in Underworld citizens since young. Simba was puffing with such anger that his beard flew up. He shouted furiously, "If I knew that one day I would be harassed by the goblins due to Grammar, I swear with the honor of my ancestors that I would have hammered Grammar when I was young." Sherlock watched the hot-tempered Simba and gave him a cup of bloody chrysanthemum before calming him. He said he would chide those pestering goblins and reminded Simba to ignore them. Once Simba had cooled down, Sherlock sent the angry dwarf out. This wasn't Simba's first complaint, but it was the first time Sherlock felt for him. This was because the gamers also pestered Sherlock. Within 2 hours of the announcement, tens of gamers tried to obtain information about Grammar from him. The gamers asked all the NPCs, Simba, Moros, Little Fairy, and Sherlock. They asked again and again, "Do you know the Houndhead Men? Do you know their leader, Grammar?" Simba was harassed for an hour because he uttered the words Houndhead Men are low-intellect creatures. Moros adhered strictly to Sherlock's suggestion and kept quiet on all topics other than combat skills, so he was spared the harassment. No matter what questions were posed to the Little Fairy, she would reply, "Even if I die and rot in the soil, I'll never help you evil devils." The gamers had new plans after they harassed the NPCs for 2 hours. 20 gamers stripped themselves of equipment and left all their metal coins in the dungeon. They asked other gamers to look after their belongings and set out wearing their initial shorts and shirts. Sherlock didn't understand what the gamers were doing as he used manner to observe the unarmed gamers setting out. They ran to the spider's lair entrance and shouted, "Wah!" as they charged at the Houndhead Men. A massacre ensued. Some gamers were hammered to the ground, while others escaped to the safe zone, which was within Sherlock's radius of dominance. The Houndhead Men hovered helplessly and left at that point. Sherlock thought that the surviving gamers would escape back to the dungeon. Instead, they held a short discussion at the safe zone before charging at the Houndhead Men again. They were massacred. Sherlock saw the gamers fleeing all over before being hammered to death. The Houndhead Men dragged most of the corpses back to the spider's lair, while some of the corpses became their food. A series of teleport portals appeared at the dungeon core main hall, and the gamers walked out. The Otherworld gamers made use of Sherlock's manner to create new characters. What are they doing? Is that the Otherworld's way of playing games? Sherlock was puzzled. Although the gamers loved cruel and exciting battles, he didn't know they enjoy being slaughtered while naked and defenseless. They are probing. Brew began to explain. This is one way to probe a boss in the Otherworld. When they have no strategy, they will fight numerous times with the boss to determine his skills, attack interval, and his movement patterns before designing a combat strategy. For example, in World of Warcraft, Online Swordsman 3, and Final Fantasy, gamers would use probing to discover the weaknesses of a boss. Using this method, they could defeat superior opponents. Sherlock didn't understand completely, but he got the gist of it. The gamers make use of repeated battles to familiarize themselves with their opponents before coming up with a combat strategy. Lord Sherlock, you seemed prejudiced against the Underworld's gamers. In the Underworld, they have aliases such as Fourth Calamity, Terrifying Atman, and Invincible Kicking Man. This isn't the first time they used such methods. When they couldn't defeat the spiders, they familiarized themselves with combat skills before defeating spiders by using teamwork. It's the same principle with the Hound Headmen, Brew said. Sherlock witnessed the teamwork of the gamers when they fought the spiders, but he attributed their success to Moreau's combat training. After Brew's explanation, the gamers' capabilities were beyond his expectation. Sherlock initially treated the goblins like hard laborers. He opened up the spiders' lair for the gamers to train their combat skills and provide an entertainment outlet for them. Though the gamers had to work hard carrying bricks, they had a chance to relax. The other dungeons had similar entertainment outlets, but the normal goblins preferred watching performances, wrestling, and playing with mud. The Underworld goblins preferred adventure. Sherlock thought that there wasn't much of a difference, though the adventurous goblins saved him considerable magic stones. As long as they worked hard and didn't cost Sherlock many magic stones, he was nonchalant about their entertainment preferences. Sherlock didn't see the goblins as warriors, but as cheap laborers that he could exploit. He could also enjoy their interesting discussions on the official website and discussion forum. The goblins were able to proactively gather information and find out about their opponents using combat before devising a combat strategy. Most importantly, they had unlimited revivals. Sherlock gazed at the naked revived gamers who were wearing their clothes and joking at the same time. Brew, I have a bold idea, Sherlock said. Sherlock initially wanted the gamers to construct basic and productive buildings. If they could discover valuable ores such as magic stones, then he could use the magic stones to buy other dungeon cores to upgrade his dungeon. With the upgrade of the dungeon core, he could recruit higher-level servants, as goblins were mere laborers and couldn't become warriors. Goblins were weak and had low intelligence. But the intelligence of the Underworld's gamers was much higher than normal goblins. In addition, they could revive infinitely. Sherlock had a bold idea. Brew, I have a bold idea, Sherlock said. Lord Sherlock, you finally understood, Brew said excitedly. You intend to form an army from the gamers and attack other dungeons. I prepared a comprehensive battle plan. Though our dungeon core can only recruit goblins, we can make use of various missions to strengthen the gamers. Then we can locate a dungeon as our target and set up a teleport portal outside it. Using the unlimited revivals of the gamers, we can let the gamers attack the targeted dungeon tirelessly. With sufficient mana from Lord Sherlock, we will be able to conquer the dungeon. When we use this method to obtain other dungeon cores, I will be able to upgrade and recruit more and stronger underworld creatures. Our power will snowball, and we can then take over the entire underworld. Perhaps even the spiritual world. After that, we conquer the surface world. At that point, I would become the only dungeon core, while Lord Sherlock would become the most powerful devil king. Brew spoke excitedly. In his description, a rosy future unraveled like a scroll painting. Sherlock didn't respond to Brew's fantasy. He asked calmly, how long were you abandoned? I was abandoned for 10,000 years, Lord Sherlock. You just woke me half a month ago, Brew replied respectfully. That's why, if I were a devil 10,000 years back, I would be excited hearing your plan, but times have changed, Brew, Sherlock said. The age of conquering dungeons without reason has passed. Now is an ordered underworld society. Let's not talk about the difficulties of conquering a dungeon. The devils have to go through 90 years of voluntary education, so each of the dungeon lords could potentially be my classmate, senior, or junior. As for conquering or destroying the entire world, only ancient devils would have such goals. The new generation devils aren't interested. Sherlock smiled as though he recalled something funny before speaking again. The teachers in school told me that if a creature lived in agony since birth, then the suffering inflicted by a devil wouldn't be significant. The creature would die, and the soul would return to the spiritual world and have nothing to do with the devil. If the creatures were addicted to bliss and then inflicted with tragedy, however, their souls would be the most delicious as they suffered in pain while reminiscing about their previous bliss. The magic stones formed from their souls would be the most expensive. Sherlock smiled after explaining. Devils are not flesh destroyers but manipulators of the heart. The difficulty of your goal is much greater, Brew said smilingly. He then said, since I didn't guess your bold idea, can you tell me your bold idea? I feel I'm a genius. Sherlock felt extremely excited as he rubbed his hands and said, didn't you say that the goblins can defeat superior opponents after repeated battles, experience, and revivals? Sherlock clapped his hands and said, I can make use of the gamers to earn money by registering them as gladiators and letting them fight. Think about it. Their opponents are orcs, werewolves, and stitches, which are very strong underworld creatures, while I only have weak goblins. I let them fight superior creatures in the gladiator arena, and the bets would be against the goblins. After being killed 10 times, if they accumulate enough experience, I'll bet in the goblins' favor once they can defeat the superior creatures. I'll have the windfall once they win. Lord Sherlock, didn't your 90 years of voluntary education teach you not to touch gambling? The way you're squeezing those gamers, are you a devil? Brew pondered before asking. That's correct, I'm a superior devil. Sherlock's idea was bold. He didn't have much money. Even if he registered those gamers as gladiators and bet in their favor, how many rounds of losses could he bear before he could win back the money? If he lost too many times, even if he won once, he couldn't recoup his losses. Of course, the gamers had to be as remarkable as Brew had said. While Sherlock and Brew were chatting, the gamers outside had put on their armor and gathered for a discussion. How is it? How is it? What did you find out? How is the skill of the boss? How are the skills of the minions? What do you expect? We only fought once. We discovered that the aggro of the minions isn't linked to the leader, Grammar. We could bait the Houndhead warriors far away without the leader's notice. Isn't it the same as fighting the spiders? Yes, could we use the same tactics as we did for the spiders to fight the Houndhead men? Bait a few to kill them bit by bit. We could try. I feel it's feasible. A few of us could pull Crammer's aggro, while another group with short bows could take care of the minions. Stand far away. After killing a few minions, we could retreat a distance. They have 20 to 30 men, and it would take us a few waves to eliminate them. When Crammer is the only one left, we'll stack on top of the leader and kill him. This method is feasible. The most difficult is Crammer. A hammer for each goblin. That's totally unreasonable. Wait, are you sure this game has an aggro system? Should have. If not, why did the Houndhead men chase us all the way? When we fought the spiders, didn't they attack the closest goblin? I feel that we can try this method. Those Houndhead men blockaded our paths, so we can't fight the spiders to obtain our materials. Yes, let's settle the Houndhead men. After completing the main plot mission, we can get rewards. I'm waiting to obtain my materials. I haven't improved my equipment. After they had finished their discussion and finalized their tactics, they formed different teams from 50 gamers. 20 gamers brought shields, as they had to pull Kramer's aggro and be cannon fodder. Besides shields, they left their belongings in the dungeon for safekeeping by other gamers. As the number of beta gamers was small and there was no storage system, the gamers helped to safekeep each other's belongings. 5 gamers were armed with short bows, and they were responsible for eliminating the main force of the Houndhead men. The rest of the gamers were fully equipped and were tasked to protect the archers. When the archers depleted their arrows, the fully equipped gamers would become the main fighting force. Those who went in the expedition were either not fully equipped or not confident in the tactics. They only wanted to carry bricks and earn money peacefully. After assigning their tasks, the 50 gamers set out merrily. Sherlock was interested to know if their new tactics would be effective, so he used his mana to observe the expedition. The 50 gamers arrived at the Houndhead men's campsite and reiterated their tasks and combat tactics. Then the shield bearers went forward. The 5 archers readied their arrows on the bowstrings as they prepared anxiously. They waited for the shield bearers to break Kramer before releasing their volley at the Houndhead warriors. Time was up, but how were they going to pull Kramer's aggro? The shield bearer, Peasant, shouted, "I'll bait Kramer." Then he walked out without hesitation. The distant Houndhead men noticed Peasant when he suddenly shouted, "Grandsons." The Houndhead men's leader was a homegrown Houndhead warrior in the spider's lair. Since he climbed out from the egg, his head was larger than other Houndhead men. As he grew older, his head grew bigger, and he became the new leader of the Houndhead men. He inherited the best hammer and armor from the old leader and led the tribe to live peacefully in the spider's lair. The spiders were in charge of hunting, while the Houndhead men ate the remnants of the spider's food or the sickly old spiders like the normal Houndhead men. Until one day, a group of insane goblins came to the spider's lair. The insane goblins got themselves slaughtered, and their bodies became food for the spiders. Even the Houndhead men, who had strict control of their population, obtained sumptuous meals. The leader of the Houndhead men produced 2 nests of eggs. When they were preparing to receive new members into their tribe, problems cropped up. It wasn't known when these goblins started hunting spiders, but they hunted spiders in the day, at night, and even while everyone was sleeping. When the spiders dwindled, the goblins ventured deeper into the lair. The leader of the Houndhead men felt that the spiders would be wiped out at this rate, and his tribe wouldn't have a stable supply of food. He led his elite warriors and charged out. The goblins had formed their legion and waited at the entrance of the spider's lair for battle. This was a warrior's honor, the tribe's honor. Kramer charged at the goblins without hesitation. He led his warriors and crushed the goblins. Then the Houndhead men retrieved the goblins' weapons and armor as loot. Victory belonged to the Houndhead men. If Kramer hadn't detected a powerful creature nearby, he would have led his warriors to flatten the goblins' home. After obtaining victory, the tribe's most knowledgeable Houndhead elder, who was the only one proficient in the Underworld language, carried out a victory ritual for them. As they were appeasing the gods, the goblins came again, this time naked. They charged like mad dogs that were to be slaughtered. Kramer treated the goblins as offerings for the gods. The goblins were fearful, and they offered their lives to plead for mercy so that their tribe could continue to survive. Oh, those pathetic goblins. After a few major battles, the Houndhead elder grandly announced, "The goblins yielded. They feared you and called you Kramer." According to the Houndhead elder, Kramer meant the most terrifying existence. Kramer believed it. Since then, the entire tribe started calling his new name, Kramer. He would have his name etched in the tribe's history. The brave leader, Kramer. Then the goblins came again, and one of them shouted, "Grandsons." Kramer didn't understand the common Underworld language, so he looked at the Houndhead elder at the side. He wasn't sure what the goblins were doing. Were they offering their lives to appease the gods? The Houndhead elder pondered and said, "That's a compliment. He is singing praises of our leader. They are fully armed, so they are looking for a grand battle." Kramer was starting to be fond of these goblins, and he wouldn't turn away from battles. He lifted his hammer and charged. He crushed the goblin who praised him and hammered an adjacent goblin, who flew to the side. The goblin's chest armor was severely dented, and he vomited blood as he shouted, "D***men, my armor's broken. I have to spend money to fix my armor." Kramer didn't understand the goblin and thought the goblin was praising him again. Kramer defeated goblin after goblin before they started to retreat. They dragged their comrades' corpses and fled quickly. Kramer wanted to pursue them, but he felt a powerful presence and stopped. Kramer turned his head and was about to bring his tribe back when he noticed his warriors having serious casualties. Some were shot to the ground by arrows, while others were slashed to death. Though the Houndhead men achieved victory, they paid a heavy price. Kramer understood that they were honorable sacrifices. Their souls would be warmly received by the ancestors, while their bodies were to be baptized by fire and made into meals. On the second day, the goblins returned with a vengeance. Kramer was as valiant as before, but his warriors suffered casualties. The goblins retreated once again after sustaining 50% casualties. Kramer felt that something wasn't right. Why were there endless goblins to be killed? Who were their mothers? Why were they so reproductive? The situation was looking bleak for the Houndhead men. Kramer looked at the dismal number of warriors and the Houndhead elder for an answer. The elder muttered, "We have achieved grand victory and should shift our tribe deeper into the spider's lair." Kramer thought it was reasonable and wanted to lead the remaining warriors deep into the spider's lair. However, he discovered that the spider's lair entrance was covered by a magical barrier, and they were unable to go through. As Kramer looked for ways to break through the barrier, those goblins, who seemed to multiply endlessly, came back again. Kramer grasped his hammer tightly as he looked fearlessly at his prey. Sherlock was excited by the relentless combat willpower of the goblins, whom he was going to make use of to earn money, attack other dungeons, and complete his assigned missions. He found no reason to let the Houndhead men move deeper into the spider's lair. Sherlock set up a magical barrier at the spider's lair entrance so that the Houndhead men couldn't escape into the spider's lair. They could only loiter at the entrance. The gamers achieved certain success, and the forum named this method of baiting monster cannon fodder's monster baiting method. Within 3 days, they had carried out 4 suicidal battles that caused a severe weakening of the Houndhead men. Kramer was the only one left at the spider's lair entrance. They even organized the battle just to retrieve their dropped weapons and equipment. Not we are calculated in detail the price the gamers paid over the 3 days in the forum. It included the casualties in each battle, repair fees of the equipment, damage of equipment during battle, and the replacement costs for irreparable equipment. The rough estimate was about 50,000 bronze coins. The battles wiped out all the savings of the 100 beta gamers. It caused the price of coins to hyperinflate, and even rich gamers were unwilling to pay for bronze coins. Sherlock also discovered that gamers who had never carried bricks, such as Arthur, Burning Kislair, and Sylvanas, started to carry bricks diligently. The dungeon's development accelerated once again. Sherlock was pleased to see the gamers working hard day and night. While the gamers were carrying bricks diligently, the construction of the carpenter workshop commenced. Winterfell's only more expensive stuff carpenter shop had great efficiency. Within a day, the carpenter workshop was completed, and a cartload of short bow arrows was delivered to the dungeon core entrance. The carpenter workshop was nicely constructed with complete facilities like a cooking stove, big pot, crucible, spoon, seasoning stick, spatula, and even a complete set of condiments. The carpenter hadn't arrived, as it would take some time to find the carpenter with the best culinary skill. The stone golem from the only more expensive stuff carpenter shop said that the carpenter would arrive in a week. Sherlock wasn't in a hurry, as it would only be another 2 days. Though it was tough on Simba, it would only be 2 more days before someone shared his burden. The beta gamers launched their final attack on Grammar. As the beta game representative, Not We Are Impens published on the discussion forum. It was a post called Leader of Hound Headmen, Grammar, Attack Plan. Within an hour, the post garnered numerous clicks and replies. Sherlock took a look at the post that showed pictures of Crammer swinging his hammer, as well as a far shot of the leader. Crammer looked valiant in the pictures. Sherlock started reading the detailed contents. Greetings everyone, I'm Not We Are Impens. The last post recorded our losses and casualties for the past few days. Our battles were horrendous. But the price we paid was worthwhile. We eliminated all the Hound Headmen protecting Crammer. Just as we speculated, those Hound Headmen don't revive. When we were fighting the spiders, we discovered that the spiders at the entrance dwindled and had to venture deeper into the lair to find more spiders. Someone said that the dead spiders wouldn't revive and that we could possibly make the spiders extinct. The game has blown away our expectations. It's not merely fighting monsters and earning money and equipment continuously like traditional games. The gamer's actions affect the game's progression, such as killing spiders until extinction. Every boss is also unique. If that's the case, my liver is going to hurt a lot. If I'm not online for an hour, I could miss important plots in the game. The game is immersive, and we, the beta gamers, feel as if Dungeon, Eternal Kingdom is our second life. After singing so many praises of the game, I'm going to discuss the strategy for defeating the boss. After several rounds of probing, we determined Crammer's attack behavior and methods. When facing a solo opponent, he uses his hammer to crush his opponent. When surrounded by enemies, he uses a sweeping attack. His other attacks include leg kicks, biting, headbutting, elbow strikes, and ramming. As the damage is limited, they won't be explained in detail. The most serious threat is his hammer. Whether it's crushing or sweeping, once you are hit, you will be maimed. If the hammer hits critical areas like the head or chest, it's instant death. The hammer attack radius is 2 meters, and there is no way to dodge. Don't be greedy for damage. Engage for a while and then retreat. Close combat is extremely disadvantageous for us, but we have no choice. We have our archers inflicting damage on our own comrades otherwise. We have to race against time. Before all of us die, we have to push the boss to the ground. We could also choose to let him die by attrition. We discovered that Crammer doesn't heal after battle, and that is logical. As gamers with a code of honor, we wish to defeat him honorably, but when it comes to a crunch, we lash at him. In order to defeat Crammer, we intend to mobilize all of our 70 warriors, which will be grouped into the tank team and 2 damage teams. The tank team is like a punching bag to absorb the most casualties, while the damage teams will attack from all directions. At every interval, the damage teams will slash once and then retreat according to the combat strategy illustration. Combat strategy illustration. Crammer has full body armor, and the attacks are useless against the armor. Besides the armor, he has scales for protection. Damage was reduced against areas with scales, but at least there was an effect. That's all. We'll set off now. Wish us luck. O.D. 12-winged fury dragon. Why do the hound headmen have scales? Bachelor hound. Though they are called hound headmen, they are basically lizards that are like dragons. Icy fire. That is correct. In many games, the hound headmen were designed to hatch from eggs. Snow reflection. Did you consider having tens of you hold down Crammer's hands and legs while decapitating him? Dim waning moon. Gosh, the previous commenter is a genius. Plus. Nuclear beard. This common brawling method could be effective. Nuke shock unit. This is shocking. The previous commenter. Do you normally decapitate the head when brawling? W. Quention priest. Could you fight the boss this way? If you can't defeat him, try this method. Okay. Promise me. Swords and Xiaohuan. I am curious about the game's physics engine. You mashed the select. What engine? This game is a virtual reality online game with new technology. As Sherlock browsed the excited replies in the forum, the 70 gamers formed their teams and set off. The remaining gamers, who were unable to fight, also followed behind. As this was their first boss and the main plot mission boss, nobody wanted to miss this expedition. Besides, there were no rules to prevent viewing from the side. What if there were hidden plots or missions? Besides a few gamers who went offline, all of the gamers set off noisily towards Crammer, who was all alone by himself. Only Sherlock, Simba, the little fairy, Moros, and gamer Rainto were left in the dungeon. Rainto was watering the flower bed. This gamer planted many flowers that were gathered from outside. Sherlock didn't know the names, but the pollen and petals were food for the little fairy. Isn't this life connoisseur gamer going to attack boss? Sherlock looked at Rainto, who was busy in the flower bed, and asked Brew. Life connoisseur gamers aren't interested in combat and equipment. If Lord Sherlock could come up with some life equipment like fishing poles, they would work harder, Brew said. This gamer would carry bricks, exchange for food, and pay other gamers bronze coins to bring other seeds from outside to plant them. Only a few flowers managed to survive. Sherlock nodded after listening to Brew and ignored the life connoisseur gamer. He returned to the dungeon core main hall and used his manner to observe the gamers fight with Crammer. Sherlock looked forward to their battle. Crammer had no escape route. Surrounding him were sacred corpses of his tribe. He stood alone as he faced the marching goblin legion. Crammer gazed at the goblins. 1, 2, 3, 4, forget it. There were countless goblins. Crammer grasped his hammer tightly. He wouldn't die today, as these weak goblins would perish. Crammer roared as he charged at the goblins, who split their formation. They were chatting jovially, and the formation was disorganized. These were goblins, after all, the lowliest and most foolish creatures. A goblin with the name Peasant shouted, engaging Crammer. Get ready. 1, 2, 3, grandson. That goblin charged towards Crammer. Crammer didn't understand what the goblin was shouting about, but he recognized the last word. It was praise for Crammer. Crammer wanted to give this goblin a quick death. He lifted his hammer and crushed down with all his might. Whoosh, the goblin, Peasant, and his shield were crushed. Wah, he didn't last long and was flattened. Next tank, get ready to sacrifice. Don't panic, we have only started engaging the boss. Fight according to the plan. The goblins chattered noisily, and Crammer was vexed by their buzzing. Crammer felt someone slashing his knee. He lowered his head and saw a short goblin with the name Burning Kister stabbing his knee, which was protected by scales, so he didn't suffer much damage. He wanted to crush Burning Kister with his hammer, but the goblin rolled away and landed face up. Then the goblin scrambled hastily out of Crammer's attack perimeter. Shoot, thank goodness I'm agile. The boss glared at me just now. I thought I was dead, Burning Kister shouted. Crammer was confused by the goblin's rolling action and didn't notice a goblin stabbing his knee from behind. Crammer turned his body and saw a goblin with the name Notwearingpants rolling on the ground like Burning Kister. Crammer wasn't confused this time. He swung his hammer and crushed Notwearingpants. Our team leader is dead, our commander bites the dust. Gosh, that's a horrible death. That's hilarious. We've dealt minimal damage, but our leader is already dead. It's normal when fighting a boss. Don't panic, we can still continue. Those not fighting can help to bring the corpses back for revival. Let the revived gamers come back. Hurry. Quick, pull the boss away, change to another location. How do we extract the corpses? The goblins were shouting non-stop, which made Crammer even more vexed. The goblins moved quickly to the other side, and Crammer thought they were fleeing. Ah, these goblins were shameful. How could Crammer let these dishonorable goblins escape? He wielded his hammer and pursued. His speed was faster, and he hammered as he gave chase. Soon, he ran to the opposite side of the spider's lair entrance. The goblins stopped in their tracks, and the goblin charged with his shield as he shouted, "Wah!" Crammer swung his hammer when he felt a stab on his back. He turned to see Burning Kister rolling out of his attack perimeter. Crammer felt damage being inflicted to him from the sides. Crammer roared impatiently. A goblin charged forward with his shield. Crammer focused his frustration on a hammer and swung it down viciously. That goblin didn't even manage to scream as he was crushed into silence. Crammer noticed a shadow flicker as a goblin squirmed under his arm and stabbed his knee. Crammer roared in pain. I feel that I almost brought down the boss. I'm awesome, Burning Kister said proudly. His body was full of dust after rolling on the ground. Other goblins, who were armed with shields, stabbed Crammer at sides to attract his attention, but Crammer was only focused on Burning Kister, that ugly goblin. Crammer charged at Burning Kister with his hammer, ignoring the other goblins. Shasterisk T, OT1. Chester, run. OT. Taunt him quickly. Grandson. Grandson. D asterisk MNU. The group of goblins surrounded Crammer and hollered and slashed at his knee, but Crammer ignored them. After ramming a group of goblins, Crammer charged at Burning Kister with his hammer. Burning Kister turned to run, but how could he outrun Crammer? Crammer ignored the insane goblins' attacks on his sides. He bolted to the front of Burning Kister and grasped Burning Kister's neck. Then he slammed Burning Kister repeatedly on the ground. After slamming him 10 times, Crammer's anger was exhausted, and he felt better. Gosh, is that a boss skill, or a berserk attack? I don't know. Don't worry, continue to inflict damage. The gamers surrounded Crammer and attacked. Crammer swept his hammer and flung the goblins far away. Those who survived were maimed. Crammer roared again, but he vomited blood. His back was stabbed by a short sword. The goblin called Arthur charged and stabbed him in the gap between armor plates while Crammer was swinging his hammer. Arthur abandoned his sword, jumped down, and fled. Crammer roared furiously and pursued, but his speed was compromised due to his back injury. The gamers were invigorated by the success of Arthur. They raised their weapons and shouted as they charged at Crammer. Crammer had an ominous feeling. Seeing more goblins gathering at his side, he feared this was his last breath. He wasn't afraid of death, but he was worried that his 2 nests of eggs wouldn't be properly cared for. Thinking of his tribe deep within the spider's lair, Crammer believed they would take care of themselves and his children. Crammer was never fearful. Crammer raised up his hammer and roared as he smashed down on the goblins. Crammer chuckled as he fought the foolish goblins to the death.